Hello everyone, welcome back to Microsoft Flight Sim. It's me, Pat, and today, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be flying the next leg of the 737 hub tour here for Delta. Today our flight number, we are Delta 2371, flying out of Cincinnati. We're heading to Boston Logan today. I did, prior to starting the stream, do a couple little quick setup things as I am adjusting my chair in real life. So the FMS is already preset. As you can see, we've already got our speed already set for the system here. I also pre-programmed our descent to being, again, getting rid of those at or aboves. One of the things I have not done at this point is set up a few other things with the autopilot. I know we are going to be taking runway 27 out of Cincinnati today. If I can get it to take flaps 5, that would be wonderful. There we go. I need a couple things off of here. We need a runway heading is 276. No, not that. And then I should also go into VPilot and connect to the network. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. We are 2371. Today we're not a 777, so we're not a heavy. We are a 737-800 today. Connecting, I don't believe there's any. Yeah, there's no ETC currently. Our squawk code is 6646. Go ahead and get that put in. Oh my word. There we go. Okay, that's all set up here. That's set up here. Cruise, I believe, I have to pull up SimBrief again. Cruise is, flight level 370. Might be a touch high, but we do have a little bit longer of a flight than some of the previous ones, so that's not too much of a concern. Landing altitude space is going to be sea level. I'm just going to set that to sea level for the moment. And then we'll grab that. It is, I believe, 158 today. Which, yeah, that's sea level. That's effectively sea level. .3002 is altimeter. Parking brake is on. We have 10 minutes before we're technically supposed to push. We're going to get our CTAF frequency for Cincinnati here. CTAF is 118.3. Set up preset Unicom. So we're on CTAF, we have Unicom preset. Any other setup? Yes, we do have some more setup. We can flip these guys all on. I've also pre-flipped the packs to off. And the lights that are required to on. Checking everything else here, because we are just a hair early so far at this point for our departure, so we're going to hold off a minute. After last night, I'm going to double check my setup stuff here. Good, everything is there. Don't need any huge amount of time for that. Go to ground services. We'll hold off. I know there's some more stuff coming soon from PMDG. They have a few plans they're working on for pre-MSFS 2024. Basically, their plan is this month they'll have the 777 freighter variant. I'm depending on how much it is, I may get it and try to do a flight in that before 24 comes out. They're also planning an update for this airframe, actually the entire NG family, to add some of the tablet materials that are on the 777 into the 73s. And that's about it for, if I remember correctly, for 2020. Everything after that is going to be after 2024 comes out. Once that happens, everything's happening on both simultaneously. Hopefully. Because they're going to start working on getting all this stuff to make sure it's good for 2024. And I'm just trying to see how we want to taxi here at this point. Because we are at gate Bravo 17. We're taking off runway 27, which I can actually put us into the exterior cam briefly and show you guys where that is. That is right there. Right behind us. You can actually see those green lights. Those sets of green lights behind us actually are the entrances to 27. So, we don't have very far to go. At this point, we can get rid of those cargo loaders, because we're going to be, at this point, we're basically loaded up. I'm going to disconnect the jetway at this time. I'm actually going to adjust a setting real quick so we don't keep getting the noise we were getting last time, because I forgot my keybind is on from Discord. Discord's good to go, VATSIM or VPilot's ready to go, plane is ready to go. Don't believe there's any traffic around us. No, we are the only ones doing anything here. We're not the only ones doing anything with Boston, but it may be, but we're not going to be, whoever that is. There's a 777 inbound from Manchester. But they're still over the Atlantic, they're still on the NAT tracks, so they probably have a good couple hours before they'd go anywhere. So I think we will start up our APU. Getting the show on the road. Actually, while we're waiting on the APU, 15 right, I believe is our runway. Yep. That's going to be our runway in Boston. Localizer will be 1107. So we are doing the ILS. $267 for the minimum. No, I don't want radio minimums. Just gonna hide those. Here to hide those in a moment. APU generators are available and now on. So we release the ground power. I'm going to calculate everything for that. We need 509 for trim. Deal. We're now 3 minutes from where we need to be pushing back, so we will go ahead and back, push back, get our tug, turn nose left. We will be doing a face west from here. And we're going to double check fuel. No fuel in the center tanks again. So we will turn on pumps. And we will turn on APU bleed. And that's all we need to do. We are good to go. Cincinnati ground Delta 2371 is pushing back at gate Bravo 17 facing west Cincinnati.
Cockpit to ground. Go ahead.
VNL now.
We've been cleared for pushback at the start. They want the tail to our right. Copy that. Ready to push. Tail to the right. Parking brakes release, please. Brakes released. Brakes released. Here we go.
Right engine to ground. Engine 2, run. Good start on the right engine. Right generator on. Left engine ground. I'm going to turn on the taxi lights at this time. We're actually still on the ramp. First taxiway is right there, which is actually a part of the ramp still as well. Ooh, left engine 1 run.
Set. Alright, steering pin is disconnected. Watch for the slip release from guidance on your left. Have a good flight.
I think our taxi today will do Juliet 2, Kilo, Kilo 2, and hold a Kilo 2. More than enough space on that runway. Let's start on the left engine. Generator on. APU off. packs will come on at this time. And we are almost ready to go. Go flaps 5. Really? Flaps 5, please. We're gonna go Juliet 2, Kilo 2. Cincinnati traffic Delta 2371, taxiing to runway 27 via Juliet 2, Kilo 2, hold at Kilo 2. Cincinnati. We'll go ahead and begin our taxi. I believe that right there is actually Juliet 2. This right here is Juliet 2, not the line I was looking at right there. Going on to Kilo. And here's Kilo 2. This is a very short taxi, at least. Cincinnati traffic Delta 2371 lining up runway 27, Cincinnati. Let's go ahead and get this time. Taxi lights off. Essentially, we're going to get ourselves ready for takeoff at this point. Anything else up top we need to do? No. Strobes on. Oh, yes, we do. One thing I would like to forget. Cincinnati traffic Delta 2371, taking off runway 27, flying the Bengals 5, Cincinnati. Toga. Coming up. Turn on autopilot and we'll get that first notch of flaps. What are you beeping about? I don't know what that is. Flaps. Next notch of flaps. Cincinnati traffic Delta 2371 is through 4,000 feet. Clear of runway 27, last call Cincinnati. We're over to Unicom. On our way out of Cincinnati to Boston. VNAV decided to die again. Okay, that's what's going on here. Let's go flaps up. So we are currently on Unicom. We are currently over the northern end of Kentucky. We're going to be crossing over the Ohio River here shortly. I'm actually making a right turn before we even cross the river. Here's Bengals. There's the river down there. Louisville's going to be off in that direction. Cincinnati is a bit behind us. We actually were not in Cincinnati. We actually were in Covington, Kentucky. Or actually Covington, Kentucky area this is where the airport actually is. Kentucky that turn now. Cincinnati's off that way, so been by this airport, the airport we just departed. Never actually been there to the airport itself. Never flown out of it, never actually been into the airport. We are through 10,000, so the landing lights will come off. Runway turnoffs off at this time, and we will take the logo lights off as well. We will go external camera, see if we can't catch a glimpse of Cincinnati at this time. And there we go. So there's the airport, just south of I-275, south of the Ohio River. We are actually north of the Ohio River now. Cincinnati is a bit further to the east. I'm not sure if we're actually going to fly over Cincinnati itself. No, we won't. Yeah, we're not going to be flying over Cincinnati itself. It's that region. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. There you go. It's that region where I'm certain is actually Cincinnati proper. Covington itself is about in here. So, beautiful view of the area up here. We'll actually be flying a lot closer to Dayton. We'll actually be flying between Dayton and Xenia, Ohio. Based on looking at with the charts. Go back into the cockpit at this time, going through 15,000 here momentarily. This is a flight where I have no concern about reaching our top of climb and getting into actual cruise here. So this plane, if you're looking to actually fly this plane in Microsoft Flight Sim, make sure that your flights are at least an hour long. We saw this with the flight from Kennedy to, I believe, Raleigh, where we actually barely made it to our cruise altitude. I should have amended that cruise altitude to something like 25,000. For the most part, this thing's cruise altitude will be somewhere between 330 and 370. We're gonna be getting up to 370 tonight. You can theoretically get this up to like 40,000 feet, but I've never gotten it up there in practice. This thing has very little engine power that high up. It's very difficult to get this thing climbing once you get above about 370. We're going to go over the standard pressure at this time. And we're going to prep ourselves with the for Boston's pressure. I'm also gonna re-enable. Oh, minimums are already there. So 2.9 or 9 or 8, which is what we got preset. So we're on standard pressure right now. 2.9 or 9 or 8 is the pressure currently in Boston. Approaching the Bengal waypoint. So about just under 650 miles to go. So for all intents and purposes, what this flight plan will do is, this particular flight plan, it's nothing close to even the direct from Cincinnati to Boston. The big problem with going from Cincinnati to stuff on the East Coast, because it's not the first time I've done this flight, or this particular flight, well, out of Cincinnati to an East Coast airport. The major problem with it, though, is you end up having basically all the way up to Cleveland in order to meet up with the eastbound stars. Which makes these a lot longer than you actually expect. Like, you could get from Cincinnati to Kennedy direct in like 40 minutes, but it's probably closer to an hour, hour 20. It's a very easy 773 flight. Similarly, Boston probably about an hour direct, but because we have to meet up with the stars, it's closer to an hour and a half. We do not actually have any add-on scenery for Boston currently. So we did leave Cincinnati, which has add-on scenery currently installed here. We're going to Boston with the default scenery. Going over the New Lebanon area, just south of Dayton. Dayton will be a little bit further up that way. We're actually going to be flying basically right over Wright Pat. Okay. Amazing place. I need to get myself some time to go back down to Dayton and visit the Air Force Museum. It's an amazing place. Anyone who's never been there, honestly, I cannot recommend it more. It's honestly free. Cannot beat that. Rickle is our next waypoint. We are in the Dayton area right now. Wright Pat's going to basically be, we can't even see it from our cockpit view at this point. Yeah, there's Dayton proper. Holy crap. Even more directly over Dayton than I thought. There's Wright Patterson Air Force Base, the actual Air Force Base itself. The museum. Essentially going to be right down in there. I might be off a little bit, but We're nowhere near it. We are good. What are we at now? 27,000 feet overhead. But yeah, that's about where the Air Force Museum itself is going to be, is in this general vicinity down there. And technically everything here is the base. So this is the base complex. That is technically a part of the base as well, the museum. A lot of other aviation-related museums and sites down there in the Dayton area. Actual main airport is going to be right there in Vandalia, Ohio. Springfield, Ohio that way. Xenia is down there. Down that way as well. Let's see if I can find Xenia on my map here. So Xenia would be effectively in here. Actually, I think that's actually Xenia proper, but yeah. Yeah, that's Xenia down there. That's Greene County. Springfield's gonna be right there. Beautiful area. There's another museum right up ahead, which is actually another airport. And that would be Urbana, Ohio. Beautiful area. Been to multiple museums down here. There's the Wright Patterson shop actually in Dayton. There's the Air Force Museum at Wright Pat. Rhymes there, that's where, I believe that's one where they're actually, the other one I've been to, in Dayton, in the Dayton area. That's the Urbana one. Or they were working on, I can't remember which one it was. It was either yeah, it was one of the World War II bombers. I can't remember which one though. And then if we were continuing a bit further north, there's also Wapakoneta with the Neil Armstrong Museum. A lot of history in the Dayton area. A lot of history in Southwest Ohio in general. What I find crazy is that you have a lot of people who are from Ohio that are like, there's not a lot here, I can't wait to leave. And then it's like, if you're like me, who's grown up here in Ohio your entire life and don't really have the opportunity to go elsewhere, you get to learn just how much there actually is here in Ohio. There's a lot more here than people think, especially Southwest Ohio, especially Southeast Ohio. It's beautiful down in Southeast Ohio. Probably have to do some sort of a GA flight, VFR flight at some point. In like the Cessna, in some of these areas. Probably do that off the VATSIM during daytime at some point. Absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of other stuff, even in the northern part of the state, there's a lot you can do up in the northern part of the state. But there's a lot more in Ohio than people even realize. And honestly, I think that's... oh, God. Okay. Scared me for a moment. Let's double check, make sure everything's still functioning. Good deal. That was really frightening for a moment. Yeah, there's a lot. I think everybody's gonna... every state's gonna be like that. You get used to being like, I don't know what to do, and then being like, I want to go and see blah blah blah, and it's in a completely different state. And that's all you ever end up finding things to do is in other states when you completely neglect what is there next to you. Anyone in Ohio needs a cheap option idea for vacation? Well, go to Dayton, go to Columbus, go to Logan, go to Cleveland, and you don't even have to get a hotel unless you want to stay there a night. A lot of these places you can get there within 2 hours. Since you can get there within 2 hours, you don't even have to get a hotel. Hell, if you're in the northern part of the state, you might have options in Pennsylvania, might have options in Michigan. A lot of options. I'm just using Ohio as an example because it's my home state, so. But I'm pretty sure anyone else can come up with examples, especially for some of the more mid-sized states, similar to Ohio. I hesitate to use the same kind of example for Texas. I've been to Texas. Texas is massive. I've been to California too. Those are massive states. Somebody in, say, Dallas might not be able to get to something in the west side of Texas in a reasonable period of time and will definitely need hotels. Whereas a case like Ohio, you could get from Cincinnati to Cleveland in like 3 hours. 3-4 hours tops. I've not done that particular trip. I've done other trips of similar lengths in Ohio. I think the worst I had was a trip back down to school a few years ago. I think this was actually almost 10 years ago now. And I actually went to, while I was going to school, I was going 3.5 hours away from home, clear across state. There was a day where the highway part, most of the way there, was completely shut down, absolute traffic jam because of an accident, and I think that trip took close to 6 hours. But that was all because of just the horrible traffic that day. Regardless, honestly, the people that have the best in Ohio are those in Columbus, if you're looking for options and things to do. I don't envy the idea of living in Columbus. It's huge. I've been to Columbus a few times. Drove through Columbus a lot. It's massive. But Columbus is so close to being dead center of Ohio that you can get to Cleveland in 2 hours, Cincinnati in 2 hours, you can get to Toledo in 2 hours. Pretty much 2 hours to any of the state lines, or any point on the state line. Pretty damn central. So you have an option to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Dayton, spend the day in Dayton and come back home, and all I'm out is gas and food. Whereas somebody, say, in Buffalo, New York, if they want to go to Dayton to see the Air Force Museum, they're going to need to get a hotel. They're going to need to be ready for a 6-hour trip. One way. They're going to have to get there one day, do their stuff at the Air Force Museum, and then either spend a night or drive back overnight. Not a lot of options there. Whereas this said somebody in Ohio, if I want to be there when they open at 9 o'clock, I just just have to be out the door at 7. Not a lot to it. I have to worry about traffic at 7 in the morning, but I just have to get out the door at 7. So get up at like 6, do anything I need to do to get ready, go grab some breakfast, be out the door, down there at 9. So Texas is the one place I'd be more hesitant, or one of the places I'd be more hesitant to say that's a possibility. honestly, any of these larger states are a lot harder for doing trips like that. But for those who think are in like states similar to Ohio, where it's again similar size, don't diss your own state. There's a lot more to do there than you might imagine. So, and I can use examples like I personally want to do like a national park hop. I want to go to all the national parks in the nation. I've already been to like one or two, but when I actually do it, I'm probably going to revisit all of them. I'm probably going to start here in my home state with Cuyahoga Valley. It's a little bit of a trip for me, but I might, even though I could do that as a day trip, I might even spend a night in the Cleveland area. Something I absolutely want to do. Probably a very beautiful place too, but yeah, I've never been there. Would love to go and see it. Another one that I've been to, Mammoth Caves. One of the largest cave systems, if not the largest cave system in the world. So, I'd love to go back and see that. There's a lot to see there. Like I said, I've been out to California once, but that was forever ago. And again, that's another one of those, I would hate to live out there for multiple reasons. Especially if I wanted to be, especially since I'm one of those who kind of likes to travel. One, it's really damn expensive to travel out there. Two, if you're trying to travel anywhere out there, even as like a day trip, you're effectively screwed because, well, look at it on a map. Even if you're in like Sacramento, which is fairly central, you can't get to Oregon in 2 hours. You're going to be there in like 8. It's kind of nuts. Oh, I know what that is. I need to mute the Discord server. Let's try to read that message here. So, as of right now, we're looking about an hour out. We are currently approaching the Cleveland area up ahead. Yeah, there's actually Cleveland down there. It is a bit foggy down there, too, or a bit cloudy. So we are approaching Lake Erie here. Don't believe we're going over the lake tonight. Let's actually bring up Navigraph on stream so you guys can actually see the flight plan here. this one here. Thank you. Hide this. Yeah, we're not going over the lake. We're going to be going just offshore of the lake. Next week, we're absolutely going over the lakes. Which lakes is the question? Lake or lakes is going to be the question. I almost guarantee you our arrival into Detroit will take us over to St. Clair. Probably even Erie. I've not planned that one out yet. I do a lot of pre-planning on these, so basically full disclosure on how I plan out one of these flights. I use SimBrief. I do keep track. I use Volanta to keep track of what aircraft is where, and then which you can actually see the Volanta tracking currently on the screen. With Volanta, then I use that to keep track of what aircraft is where. I then use SimBrief to actually plan out the flights. So again, I do use the tracked airport, its last tracked airport, as the origin, and then I determine where I'm going to fly it. How I determine where I'm flying it, some flights I do are actually with the assistance of a friend of mine who I will at some point be streaming with. It's just a matter of lining us up preferably a calm period. Which I'm gonna hopefully get one of those later. Hopefully we'll get one of those later this week. And if that ends up being the case, what we do, he actually has Volanta Premium, so he actually can see what aircraft flies from what airport to what, or what airline flies what aircraft from what airport to another. And so we'll actually track those out. We'll actually, in some of those cases, get actual accurate call signs and flight numbers. The ones you've seen me do on this particular tour here, these have all been ones I pulled out of thin air. Some of these, like this one in particular, it is actually, since we're coming up on hockey season, I do, full disclosure, hockey is my one big sport. As a result, you might see me do this where I have flights where my flight number is literally just a player's number, or multiple players' numbers from my team. So, disclosure for this flight plan, this flight number, the flight number 2371. 23, that's Lucas Raymond, for anyone who knows the Detroit Red Wings. Lucas Raymond, star rookie player. 71, that's Dylan Larkin, the captain. What was last week's flight? I'm pretty sure last week I might have had one as well. I can actually pull up. Yeah, let's actually do it this way, because I've pulled up with Volanta too. 5353, that was Moritz Sider, having recently just signed a contract. 5236, that was nothing. 4433, that's nothing. 801, that's nothing. So this is the second one actually now using that kind of logic. Other ones you might see me use at times would be anything involving 13 and 39 and 33. Like, actually, what was last night's flight number? I think it was 53. Let me double check. Yeah, that was 53. Actually, that's the second time I'd flown Delta 53 on that airframe, so it was Delta 53. It flew Delta 53 from Kennedy to Minneapolis as well on that 777. Again, that's Mort Sider. So, yeah. Quite easy to find those numbers. I know that I have a friend who does come up with actual flight numbers, and so I've done a few flights with that. So, I'm going to bring VPilot back up in case I need it. I don't care about the approach that's online at Harrisburg. We're not actually going into Harrisburg airspace tonight. And not with an approach altitude either. Try to find our top descent. Is still like 300 miles out. Oop. So, airframe is always on these like last or end of the weekend, the late night flights. This is these KCVG 737-800. This is the standard passenger variant, not the cargo or any of the other fancy ones. They arm our spoilers, so we're ready for that. Right now we're just cruising. What waypoint are we using for our top of the set? Between Honked and Stoli. Okay. It's probably going to be very close to Honked then. Based on how far it wants us to descend at that point. So this is an arrival I've flown into Boston before. I do have another Delta 7-3 in Boston currently. I'm actually, while we're cruising, I'm going to get us a gate. Oops, wrong thing. I meant to hit this. I'm going to find us a gate currently, because I know approximately where Boston parks. Delta parks at Boston, but I want to find us an actual gate here. That's not helping. So how I find where they park, if I don't already know, is I actually do use satellite imagery. You can do that with Volanta, which is what I'm doing right now. You can also do it with Google. We will be parking. I don't have a gate number, but I know which two locations we can park. And I'm going to grab up Navigraph in order to grab Navigraph on one of my other screens to grab this up here. So it's either Terminal A or Satellite Terminal. Alpha 17. Yeah, Alpha 17 sounds good. That'll be at the satellite terminal. Oop, what happened now? Oh, wonderful. Reconnect. VPilot lost connection. At least VPilot didn't crash, but it's not regaining connections. We might not. World. I might restart VPilot. we're restarting VPilot. At least the Lancer will continue to track this flight. Without VPilot, but VPilot is required for VATSIM. Connecting to network. That's not a good sign. Huh. You might be out the rest of the night then. I'm retrying it right now, but if it fails, I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer. I'm going to try it again here in a little bit. Let's try this again. There we go. I'm not sure what happened to it. That was weird. Now that I have that back up here, I'm going to... We want Alpha 17. I'm going to put in notes Alpha 17 for a gate. That way I have it. And we are... Oh, I hit the external again. So, disable satellite mode on Volanta, because I do have, basically how I'm, if anyone who didn't watch the 777 last night, basically what I'm doing now, last night essentially was like a test for my current setup here, which I'm using now. I've got an additional monitor over what I had last week, so I do have Stream up on its own monitor now, so I can actually see the chat and everything up there. I also am able to have Sim right dead center, just like before, charts, and Volanta along with VPilot on one screen. So on either side, if I'm looking to the right, I'm looking at charts. Looking to the left, I'm looking over at VPilot. Look up, that's the stream. So currently I'm trying to just work with that. Here we go. We're good to go again. Still got a decent bit of cruise to go here. If ATC were online, we would currently be with Cleveland Center, who is currently offline. We are in southern, or actually not, we're southeast, western New York right now. We are just south of Buffalo. So that's going to be Buffalo off over that way. So, for those of you who, again, I've already mentioned a little bit of stuff here. Those who are watching that are in Florida right now, because I'm streaming, for those who are watching this later on YouTube, I'm streaming this on the 7th, or it's 3 a.m. on the 7th of October. There is, I'd have to go look up the name, but there is a hurricane currently barreling for Florida, so anyone in like, the peninsula region of Florida, I really would recommend getting out of there. After seeing Helene, that has been terrible. I don't want anyone to risk it with another major hurricane in that region. Luckily, I don't necessarily expect this to take the same kind of path as Helene. We don't have the right kind of pattern right now for that to happen, but regardless, it's going to be ugly. I know that tomorrow the Tampa Bay Lightning actually canceled the last preseason game for the NHL. And I mean outright canceled it. They were going to be playing tomorrow at Tampa Bay, at Amalie Arena, which is right there on the coast. So, good call by Tampa Bay. I know the Florida Panthers were going to be having a championship ring ceremony tomorrow, but they canceled that, and that was going to be held in Amarant in Sunshine, Florida, Sunrise, Florida. It's over in the Miami area. I also think that was overly cautious, but still not a bad idea. And I know that at least Florida's at least keeping an eye on the conditions for their home opener down there. I don't know about the other sports. I don't follow a lot of other sports. I don't know, like, who do you have? I think you have the Dolphins down there, but I don't know where they're at. I think it's Miami, and I don't know who all is doing baseball at this point, because all I know it's the playoffs for them, and I don't know who all's in that other than Detroit and Cleveland, so. Regardless, anyone that's down there really needs to play it very cautious. We've had some really big disasters lately. Preferably, we don't have a repeat of the deadliest hurricane since Katrina, right after the deadliest hurricane since Katrina, at least within the continental United States. So, yeah. While we're up here cruising, I'm going to grab up our bomb of descent, which is 1,700 feet. I want to pre-enter that since we're not expecting ATC at this time. We're going to be prepared to clear ourselves all the way down to it. Basically, the reason you want to do this here is since this is going to be flying VNAV and LNAV, VNAV will take into account everything. So it's going to look at, hey, here's our altitude restrictions. We are restricted to, we don't actually have restrictions, so we're going to use our cruise altitude until we have the flight level 240 at Minsta, or Monsta, however you're supposed to say that one. But we know that's our first altitude restriction, so it's going to go, okay. It's going to look at that, it's going to look at what altitude we have set in the altitude hold. If the altitude is, if the altitude that is set in altitude hold between us and that restriction, it's going to take us to that altitude hold. If the restriction's between us and the altitude we have entered in, it's going to take us down to the restriction. But then once that restriction's lifted, it'll continue descending to the next restriction or the altitude hold, whichever comes first. Similarly, if we were climbing, it would do that. The one place that breaks down is if you hit the set altitude before the restriction, because it may not properly get it to descend or climb afterwards. I've done it. You do not have to enter in the altitude restrictions into there. It'll handle, the VNAV will handle that for you. That's why I'm going to leave VNAV armed, despite the fact that once we do our descent, we will be essentially manually controlling the actual airspeed itself. And that goes for the 777 as well. And that's honestly why I really like flying these Boeing planes. The fact that these ones have, this cockpit has the has the VNAV LNAV. The other one I have that has LNAV, and I know for sure how to work I don't quite know how to work the LNAV yet, is the Embraers have the LNAV, but they don't have VNAV yet. But they do have very nice, you can set a glide slope, or a descent slope, or a slope for your climb, instead of having a feet per minute type of descent or ascent. So, at this point, still no ATC online. We will be coming up on Boston Center here shortly. We are going to be passing near Ithaca in a little bit here. Basically passing over Ithaca. So Ithaca is the MEMS or MEMS waypoint, MEMMS. Albany and Schenectady are near the, I think that's Punkt, which is where we begin our transition. And Valanta, we are not descending at that point, sorry. No, I'm not going to set up a different descent. I'm going to get our CTAP, which is probably going to be the Boston tower frequency. It's 1288. We already have our ILS frequency. I am glad we already took off in Cincinnati. I'll bring up what I'm looking at now. There it is. So this is actually giving us our winds. This is the active runway for departures, which is what we took off on. that wind. So that's telling us, so the top portion of that is your crosswind. That's 10 knots of crosswind. Why are they not running the 3.6s at this point? At least I think that's going to be for 3.6s. I wonder. I'll have to check it. Yeah, the 3.6s would be the optimal runways to be using, but they don't have those open. And then 3 knots of headwind. So at the top that's your crosswind, it'll tell you direction of crosswind. Crosswind is actually from the right side if you're departing 27. So why? That literally tells you that that you're primarily got like, you've got something like a 340 wind direction, which would favor the 3.6s. Now, if we had any tailwind, the bottom would end up having an arrow pointing upward, and it would be orange or red, as we already saw. If we come in here to see, there we go. Runway 9, orange. You don't want tailwind, it's not fun. 10 knots of tailwind, you don't want to be working with that. Boston, it's not too bad for the winds. 4 knots of headwind, they'll be perfect. Big reason for the winds being like that, it might seem a little counterintuitive that you want a headwind because you're going to be fighting the wind, but at the same time when you're taking off and landing, you want the wind to be going, the air to be going a specific way over the airfoil that is the wing, and you want it to be flowing from front to back. A headwind actually promotes that, thus giving you more lift. Hence, the headwind is the preferred wind. Tailwind drives the air the wrong direction over the airfoil, and with it going the wrong way over the airfoil, it actually not take some of your lift away, increasing your speeds that are required. So your rotation speed might be higher if you're trying to take off with a tailwind, and your actual reference speed will be higher too. Speaking of reference speed, get our VREF at this point. And we are planning flaps full. So flaps full would be 133 knots. So we are now 272.5 nautical miles out from Boston. We're passing over the lakes here. Penn Yan is down there. And I say the lakes, these are, I don't know what these lakes actually are called. They're in like the central part of the western portion of upstate New York. So they're like near the Syracuse, Ithaca region. Ithaca, Syracuse, Rochester area. In between all three of those. We're going to be flying over Ithaca here shortly, so I'm actually going to pop us to an exterior view now. So yeah, Ithaca is right up there, basically almost directly beneath us. We will not be getting anywhere near New York City, which is down that way. That's going to be Rochester up that way. Syracuse that way. one thing I like about night flying, it's a lot easier to get good reference for where you are, just based on what cities are where. As long as you have something to reference. So like I've got the charts, I've got two maps essentially to reference. I've got Navigraph and Volanta. Both of which are telling me, hey, you are here approximately. They do take a little bit to update, but Navigraph's a lot faster to update than Volanta is. But then I can go, okay, I'm familiar with this area. Here's Detroit, here's Toronto, here's New York, here's Boston, you name it. And I can do that by the lights alone. Yeah, down there, there's Ithaca down there. I don't even need, most of the time I don't even need these little navigational tabs. I don't even need those half the time. If I didn't have Volanta, I couldn't tell you what that right there is. But that's going to be Syracuse. And that's Rochester. Again, I'm getting those based off of what I know about. Because I draw a blank. You base thanks to Volanta. We're picking up Portland now, according to the pilot. So yeah. Probably try and do a group flight this week as well with some of the guys I chase with. Because I do go storm chasing. I'll probably try to do a group flight with them. Probably try to do a VFR flight as well. Have us got voted to daytime. That won't be VATSIM. I'll try and stream that. I just want to try to coordinate that with them and find where we want to fly. Because I'd like to do like a sightseeing flight almost. Flying at night, you gotta see everything like this, where again you can see all the lights. Fans are flying in the daytime, I'm gonna God mode it's daytime. Maybe. You can see the terrain. The problem is, I no longer see where Syracuse and Rochester are, so I don't get as much a reference for where we are in this. So I honestly like the flying at night, but at the same time, especially for like the VFR or for like the sightseeing flights, daytime is a must. But beautiful terrain down there. We are over the parts of the Appalachians here. So it's a beautiful view. Lots of cloud cover right now. I know there is a storm system moving through, so that's going to be that. What's causing that? The same storm system brought me absolutely nothing. I still need rain. We had very little rain here over the past few months, but thus is life sometimes. But yeah, it's going to be a lot colder here, and I'm surprised my room is not absolutely an oven right now with how this computer ends up being. I like to describe it, the desktop computer I use, it does a very good impression of a space heater during the summer, or well, actually all year round. if it's over about, if the temperature outside is over about 60 degrees, this room becomes an oven when I'm doing anything, especially things like flight sim. Alright, so we're going to find that top of descent. That's about what I figured. It's near Punked. It's about, hold on to that until it's about 80 miles. I'm going to set our auto brakes to 3. And I will rely on the auto brakes tonight. What I've been noticing, something I've noticed is I've too much of a force of habit from when I used to be flying a lot of DCS World. I use the toe brake button way too much on this plane and other aircraft with auto brakes. I should let the auto brakes just handle everything. Because especially once I hit that toe brake button with the auto brakes active on the ground, the auto brakes disable, so there's no point in doing that. So it's about 80 miles out. I'm going to switch it back to 20 miles here. Once we're within 20 miles of top of the sun, I'll turn on the fasten seatbelt lights. Yeah, so Punked, that's going to be the Schenectady, crazy name for a city, in the Albany area. So, fun part is technically, if Atlanta wants me descending already, flight computer does not. I'll let the flight computer handle it. Atlanta can go cry. And this airframe tends to do a better job with its descents than the 777 does. And then I'm thinking later this week, probably Saturday, I'll do another stream with the 777. And that'll be a longer stream, guaranteed, because the next thing I do with the 777, for disclosure, I've got 2 777s I actually have fully mapped out as to where they are. I also have 2 more already set up in Atlanta. Actually, 3 more in Atlanta. One of them, I don't know where I want to put it just yet, but it's another Delta based out of Atlanta. But the other one that's currently at an airport is at Kennedy. But with Cross the Pond coming up, and the fact that I'm currently planning to participate in that, and that's going to be going from west to east, so that's going to be eastbound, I want it to be available on the eastern coast. Because I want it to be available to fly out of Boston as a possibility. I might end up as that stream. Let me see, when's... No, I don't necessarily think I'm going to stream relocating it to Boston if I have to. But, yeah, so I'd be relocating it to Boston here, like, this upcoming weekend. But that's going to be a very short flight for a 777. I mean, extremely short. It's, like, excessively short, if I end up having to do that. The other one, though, is the other 2. One's a KLM, which, if I really wanted to, if I was end up doing, like, arriving in Amsterdam, I could put that practically anywhere and depart from anywhere. And get to Amsterdam. I also have a United based out of Newark, and That's another one I could basically just leave anywhere. I don't want to fly that one out of Newark, especially since Newark is on the list for departure airports for across the pond. So that's the plan with those. If I do a 777 flight and I do end up streaming, it would end up being probably from being the one I got to Seattle, moving that up to Anchorage. I would love to do a Trans-Pacific or even go take one to Hawaii, but, well. Crossing the Pacific is a very long-haul flight. I would have to start streaming that. I would have to stream that on either a Tuesday or a Sunday during the day and not have anything else to do during that day. And that's not happening. The other way I'd be doing that is pulling an all-nighter, starting it at when I get off of work, and basically going all the way through until I basically have to work the next day. If I'm doing it across the Pacific. Across the pond is going to be a lot easier. It's just going to be a matter of what ends up being available when I get to pick. Which I'm going to pick later this week at least, but if it's something in like North America, especially something on the East Coast, that'll be a lot easier for me, and especially if I can get something like, say, Heathrow. If I can do Boston to Heathrow, that'll be awesome. The other thing is I don't have supersonic airliners, so I don't have Concorde. And Concorde would be much easier to swing a transatlantic flight, or even a trans-Pacific flight with. But I don't have that. Something I want to do at some point is I want to take a 7-3 to Iceland. Because you do have 7-3s that fly from the eastern US at least to Iceland. There'll be a lot more once you get things like the 737 MAX 10 and the A321XLR online, but those are not available yet. So there's pumped. I'm going to actually turn on our fasten seatbelt lights. And I'm going to activate speed intervention. We'll bump it up to 7.9. We will bring up the chart. If we get to 300 knots by Stoli, I'm fine with that. We have to be at 280 at seats. That is marked off properly in the FMC here. So how this arrival works is it does work for all runways. Since we are landing 15 right, we will be going all the way to J Fund and then making a left turn to Badka. If we were going to be landing on any other runway, we would actually continue direct Autumn. And then it's Winta, Harris, and then you start splitting off for your actual runway assignment. It's like you have up to Islay for the north end of the field, Chiag, so let's see, full right, you go autumn, and Spizda. So here's Spizda, then Griffey. So that's heading basically 040 for your landing. You have, oh, who's online now? Oh no, it's not anyone online. That's Auto ATC. What is Auto ATC? That was nothing useful to me. Thank you. Didn't even tell me to take the star. It just went here. Hello, I'm here. There's nobody online. Fun. Yeah, if we're landing 1-5 right, so it's J Fund, then Badka, and then basically it directs you onto the Adams transition for the arrival or the landing for final. 2-2 left and right, J Fund Autumn. And then from there you go to Winta, Paris. Then it's left turn to Islay. And then it's landing on a heading of approximately 220. 2 sevens. Spizda, then Revere. And that's approximately heading 270, and then if you're landing from the south end of the field, which would be the 3233 left end, you get Spizda to Brody. But we're going to be doing bases, J Fund, Badka. Now, if we were on the other transition, we would actually be just going straight from wait on deck, J Fund, proceed direct to Badka, and it's not even a left turn. So, fairly steep descent here. And without ATC, we are going to be doing the step reductions in speed here. So we are approaching Stoli. I want 300 knots at Stoli maximum. 290 at Minsta. Minsta, whatever they want to call it. It's our right turn to direct Minsta. Monster Minsta, however you want to say that one. So miles out from there will reduce our speed. I'm ready to put up the spoilers if necessary. Yeah, let's do it. headset's dying. Okay. Let me find that charging cord. I know why I didn't charge it overnight. And then again, I also was up really late last night because I ended up working on a battleship that I've been working on for several days in From the Depths. One of the biggest craft I've built in that game. Really decent. It's definitely not perfect, but it's one of the better ones I've built. So, it's the longest one I built, one of the widest. It's definitely not the most heavily armed ship I've done. Actually, I don't think it's our widest, but it's got new things that I've been toying around with lately. Honestly, I almost prefer how, the 777 handles the spoilers over the 7.3. Because here I can either click these or I have to do, like, these one-point adjustments. Whereas the 777, I can just grab it and drag it. As if I was actually there grabbing it. Yes, I know there's a steep descent up ahead. Wow, that's going to be a tactical descent. And we are going to reduce speed after seats. I would say 5,000 feet's not too bad, but actually, it's 4,000, but the problem is the distance. It's 12,000, or it's not 12,000, 12 nautical miles, which is not very long, not very far. Big reason I want to do this reduction is we have 25 or 250 knots at Badca, and it's telling me no, we won't be able to do that. Try me. I'm gonna try to get us there. We're not gonna get there by J-Fund. There's no distance between bases and J-Fund. Regardless, try me. Nah, it's gonna be Boston up there. Barely can see the lights for it, but Boston's up there. Coming up on flight level 180. Over to local pressure. I just love that it's like, nope, we're not going to be able to do 250 knots at back when we're going to have to be below 10,000 feet by then, so. And anyone who doesn't know the regulation in the United States is no more than 250 knots at or below 10,000 feet. But I actually want 260. And we'll maintain that until J-Fund. About what it calculated, so that's good. Yeah, see, J-Fund, 1 mile. So we are 2 miles from J-Fund, 1 mile from bases, actually less than a mile from bases now. Let's actually reduce our speed to 250. Holy crap. It's that vertical speed that killed it. I would drop our flaps to 5, but as we are as fast as we are, that's massively overspeeding. Now we're getting closer. Flaps 1. Flaps 2, and flaps 5. Get that little bit of additional. We're a bit high on our approach, but now we reduce speed direct to 210 because we don't have enough time to do step decelerations here. Why are you not descending? We need to be at 7,000 feet. Now, get these lights on. A little bit early. Ooh, fog. Spoilers will go down. Flaps time. Because we are just slow enough for those flaps to go to 10. We are still a bit high. We're not as horribly high as we were last night. I'm sure we might be just as bad. Problem is there's not another, once again, there's not a hold point here. We're 27 miles from airport. deployed. Not as terribly high as last night. Good. That's me the airport loading. Yeah, that's me scenery loading here. Just waiting to pick up the DME. At this point, we're just waiting to start picking up the localizer. Here we go. Here's Boston. Airport's gonna be down that way. And then we're actually turning on the final. Just need to pick that DME up. It is 1107. That's what I got put in. I'm surprised we don't have it yet. Because usually you can get that over 20 miles out. There we go. Boston traffic, Delta 2371 on approach for ILS 15 right, 20 miles, Boston. Not quite on final yet, we're actually passing Adams here, which will bring us on to the final approach. There's localizer mode. We have actually, wow, we've already established the ILS, holy crap. Let's go ahead and reduce our speed to 180. See that crosswind a little bit here. Let us go flaps 25, but they'll start, but anything higher beyond flaps 10 will give us landing gear limits. Boston traffic, Delta 2371 on 15-mile final, runway 15 right, fully established on the localizer, Boston. I said arm approach mode. We should capture the glide slope here shortly. Ten miles out, we'll drop our gear. Capture glide slope. So we're chasing it down so we can capture it. Gear down. Flaps, that should be 15. Flaps 25. Boston traffic, Delta 2371 on 10-mile final, runway 15 right, fully established on the ILS. Boston. We'll go ahead and bring it down to 160 knots.
2500.
Really stuttery tonight. What in the world is going on with this lag fest? is where I'll leave it for the autopilot. 5 miles we will go manual control. As long as it doesn't keep the stuttering up, that is. Boston traffic, Delta 2371 on 5 mile final, runway 15 right, Boston. We are flaps full already. And a fun landing angle. Boston traffic, Delta 2371 on short final, runway 15 right, Boston.
300. Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Oh dear, there we go. Slow down a lot there.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
And that was 2 in reverse. Knots, versus disengage. We'll go toe brakes to get us off the runway. Not a horrible landing. I feel like that was smoother than it claimed it was, but I will take it. Boston traffic, Delta 2371 is clear of runway 15 right, Boston. Okay, now that we are on the ground, taxi lights come on. Start the APU. to see where we actually exited the runway. We are on Gulf. Okay. So we'll be taxiing Gulf Charlie, crossing both 4 left and right. Alpha, no, Bravo Key, though. So that will be Golf Charlie, 4 right, 4 left, Bravo Kilo. Boston traffic, Delta 2371 taxiing to gate Alpha 17 via Gulf Charlie, cross 4 right, cross 4 left, Bravo Kilo, Boston. Alright, so let's begin this taxi and we'll go ahead and turn on our APU generators. Turn off the landing lights themselves. We'll leave the turn off lights on just until we're clear of all the runways. This is the holding apron, or the hold apron. We don't want to worry about that, so we're going to go with this one. What runways are actually active here first? Only 158. So we're going to be crossing inactive runways. Anyone on the ground other than us? No. So what I'm doing is I'm double checking to see what runways are actually active and not, and if there's any activity at the airport. If there was, I would be making a crossing 4 left, or 4 right call here, and then I'd also make a clear of 4 right call in a minute. And then once we cross 4 left, we would do the same there. Reason we're not doing that is literally nobody's here, and these runways aren't even in use anyways, so even if anyone was here, they would not be using those. Could have taken Mike down to like Kilo, but oh well. Use that other runway. At this point, we'll go turn off lights off. And we'll go ahead and turn off the window heat and keto heat since we're no longer in the air. Turn those guys off as well. Second right up ahead. So that one's Echo. Here's Kilo, which will take us by the cargo ramp as well. So we're going to hit the satellite terminal. So right here, it's going to be the cargo ramp on our left. You have the Northwest Cargo Facility as well as FedEx here. It's about, looks like there's only 4 total parking spots for cargo planes. And what we really care about is up ahead is going to be Terminal A, the Alpha Terminal. Go ahead and bring up the flaps at this time. We're going to go outside at this point. A bit further left than I thought. So on our left will be the satellite terminal. Big spike pointing out. We're going to be parking just to the left of that. Parking right about here. So Delta parks here, and Delta also parks right over there, but we're going to be parking here today. Oh look, there's no lines. Wonderful. I love it when there's no lines. This is why I need to add on scenery for this airport. Just do the best we can. A little bit more. There we go. Parking brake is on. Back into the cockpit at this time, and we will shut down left and right engines. We will go ahead and turn off transponder. Complete the flight in Atlanta. Taxi light will come off at this time. Fuel pumps will all come off as well. Packs off. You guys to cold and dark before shocks. There's also jetway and connect to that as well here. Flaps are already up. We'll go ahead and disarm flight directors and turn and re-engage autopilot. Go ahead and turn off these hydraulic pumps. We'll go ahead and turn off the lights since we're not doing a turnaround tonight. No, turn off. And we will turn off the AP. No, not start off. Up top, IRS to off. Battery off. No. Emergency exits off. Ground power off. Here we are, cold and dark at Boston Logan. For fully sign out here, I'm going to go ahead and get us an exterior view. And let's get a daytime as well. Alright, so hour 35 in the air. And why is the jetway not attached? So hour 35 in the air, jetway. Apparently we get no jetway. We need stairs. No. Am I not getting upstairs either? Okay. I guess the passengers are jumping off. I don't know what the hell's up with Flight Sim. Oh well. Regardless, we are on the ground here at the gate here at Boston Logan. The flight time was hour 35 minutes. We also were online in total for a block time. We were online for about 2 hours here. Total time for the block time, so from gate to gate, was an hour and 51 minutes. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that here. Next time we will be doing this, taking this plane from, I'll hopefully get us at this gate again. Maybe I'll get a gate that's not broken like this jetway. And we'll be taking this plane to Detroit as we finally leave the east coast of the United States with this airframe. So we're finally heading on the westbound trip for the west coast. So some beautiful ones. I'll do some daytime flights I'll do God mode for daytime flights for the west coast stuff, because there's going to be a lot that we can see out there. I prefer to just do daytime flight, even if we're going to be at high altitudes for things like seeing Mount Rainier. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will see you guys next time. I'm not sure when the next one will be. I know for sure we will be streaming this particular airframe next in exactly 1 week. Have a good rest of your evening.